Below this field is one of the most complicated machines ever built, a real-life time machine. Buried hundreds of meters beneath the French-Swiss border, this machine will shoot beams of energy around a 27-kilometer-long loop and smash those beams of energy together again at the end. This giant loop is the track for the world's newest particle accelerator, the Large Hadron Collider, or LHC. It's designed to peer into the origins of the universe and is the brainchild of 6,000 of the world's top scientific minds. Jeff Taylor is the head of physics at Melbourne University, but here in Switzerland, he's a key contributor to the LHC project.
As we come into this new era with the Large Hadron Collider, we are going to be discovering aspects of nature which we couldn't have dreamed of in the past. This is really the most exciting period for physicists, for scientists, since the beginning of the 20th century.
It's been a long time coming. We have constructed this for many, many years, and to suddenly go into this phase where really everything starts to come together and starts to click into each other and to really work as a whole is immensely exciting.
Atlas is the name of the giant detector at the heart of the project. It's being built underground in a 6-story deep construction pit, filled with the world's biggest magnets, layered by 3,000 kilometers of wiring, and all weighing 7,000 tons. All of this so that protons, the heaviest part of the atom, can be smashed at near the speed of light inside the machine, creating conditions that haven't existed since a trillionth of a second after the birth of the universe.
It is a machine which operates at a temperature of 1.9 degrees Kelvin.
Which in Celsius terms?
Which is minus 271 degrees.
The collider lives at the CERN laboratory outside of Geneva. CERN buzzes. It requires its own relay station to power the collider, and above that you'll catch the intellectual hum of the world's best scientists.
At the CERN cafeteria, sometimes there are 5 Nobel Prize winners eating with students and postdocs and other staff members. It's a very, very rich environment, and it's a very testing environment. The students work very, very hard, but it's very inspiring.
At the cafeteria, I meet the head of the Atlas project. Peter Jenny tells me that when the machine gets turned on early next year, anything could happen.
We have pretty exciting ideas from theory what could happen, but the most exciting for an experimentalist would be that actually something which nobody has foreseen could be discovered. It's really going into a new land in a way. Sometimes people say it's like when people explored new territories. Columbus did find something exciting, not India, but something else, and maybe something like that may happen.
Scientists in Switzerland are attempting to disprove everything we think we know about, well, everything. Researchers with the European Organization for Nuclear Research, or CERN, are in the process of restarting the world's biggest particle accelerator. Known as the Large Hadron Collider, the restart comes after 2 years after the machine discovered the Higgs boson, or God particle, which is believed to be the key to how particles get their mass. But now scientists want to use the machine to disprove the Big Bang theory of the universe by discovering miniature black holes, which would in turn reveal parallel universes. And it only gets weirder from there. See, according to the scientist, if these black holes are detected at a particular energy, it would prove an alternate existence theory, or known as rainbow gravity, which posits that the universe stretches back in time infinitely with no origin point like the Big Bang. No word yet on whether Doctor Who will be available when scientists actually rip a hole in the space-time continuum. But we can hope.
Man, I mean, it plays right into kind of a little what you were talking about before we even hit that. That is, I mean, the Hadron Collider is something that, like, I know a lot of people are scared of. There was, like, an Onion article that a, time traveler came back and warned us about it. But, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the Hadron Collider, John. Like, where do you sit on this thing? Is it dangerous? What do you think?
I mean, as Tabitha pointed out, like, the question obviously is, are these guys up to some nefarious, plan to create a mini black hole? And if that then, gets out of control, then does it gobble up, the entire planet as a result? I'm not particularly concerned about that. I do actually have faith that they're, they have a certain understanding of what they're trying to achieve. And I think, as I said before, the point is that we're really just at the basis of understanding our reality and our existence here. So the more that we can endeavor using things like the Hadron Collider, the more exciting I think our future will be.
And I totally agree. I mean, it's part of the human condition and experience to push forward in life. That is the most important thing for us and who we are as a people, is to keep pushing forward and keep pushing our boundaries safely, but keep pushing our boundaries as mankind, humankind.
Today, we at the Large Hadron Collider are celebrating a one-year anniversary of a quaint, simple dream. A city-sized electromagnet in an underground layer capable of firing an ultra-energized proton beam at the speed of light.
Alma Gutierrez, Baltimore Sun. What about criticisms that the LHC could have caused miniature black holes or unstable particles?
Wow. Someone's been reading too much science fiction. Yes. Anyways, no, we have not encountered any black holes or gateways to the multiverse.
I didn't say anything about gateways to the multiverse.
We are going to become gods. Period. If you don't like it, get off. You don't have to contribute. You don't have to participate. But if you're going to interfere with me becoming God, you're going to have big trouble. Then we'll have warfare.
They believe they are in contact with these entities and are being directed by them. That's why they're so evil. And the entities are telling them eternal life, total power, total control, everything you could ever want. Just kill everyone. Set up a world government. Build this design we're telling you. Build what we're telling you. Build this. Build this. Let us through. Build the Hadron Collider. Open the dimensions. Let us in. We're going to really help you. We're friendly little guys. Oh, my God, we're screwed. We are in so much trouble, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a bunch of lunatic elites thinking they're talking to little gray men who are telling them how to get eternal life. Does that sound like a good idea to you?
And the fifth angel blew his trumpet, and I saw a star fallen from heaven to earth, and he was given the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit. He opened the shaft of the bottomless pit, and from the shaft rose smoke, like the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened with the smoke from the shaft. Then from the smoke came locusts on the earth, and they were given power like the power of scorpions of the earth. They were told not to harm the grass of the earth or any green plant or any tree, but only those people who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads. They were allowed to torment them for 5 months, but not to kill them. And their torment was like the torment of a scorpion when it stings someone. And in those days people will seek death, and will not find it. They will long to die, but death will flee from them. They have as king over them the angel of the bottomless pit. His name in Hebrew is Abaddon, and in Greek he is called Apollyon. The first woe has passed. Behold, 2 woes are still to come.
I was in prayer during the night, and I got the vision of this Abaddon, and it was horrific. Then in the morning, later on that morning, I got the actual prophecy. I was hearing it, parts of it, for a few days. Prepare for the day of Abaddon. He shall rise from beneath the earth, smoke shall ascend to the heavens. He shall be accompanied by his army of demons. He will have power to cause much pain and suffering, but not the power of death. He shall make men flee in horror, and they will not escape this torment and pain. The army and its king of the locusts shall remain among the unrepentant for 5 months. Turn from your evil ways, you men of the earth. I am a just God and a forgiving God. Return to me and escape the wrath to come. All those that seek me with their repentant heart will enter in. Come as time moves quickly and the days grow shorter.
The dream was about Abaddon. It was made clear to me in the dream that what I was seeing was related to this particular video that she made. In the dream, I saw total chaos taking place here in West Arkansas, and also it was made known in the dream that this would be taking place all across the world as well. What I mean by total chaos, there was rioting going on, looting. The police in particular were overwhelmed and they could not handle what was going on. I saw policemen getting shot, people getting shot. There was just complete chaos everywhere. And again, it was made known to me in this dream that this was directly related to Abaddon, Apollon. Well, who is Abaddon or Apollon? Abaddon, literally meaning destruction, ruin, or perdition, is the Hebrew name of the demon identified as the angel of the bottomless pit or the abyss in Revelations 9:11, who ties up the devil for a millennium, 1,000 years, also known as the destroyer, from his role as one of the destroying angels of the apocalypse in Job 26:6 and in Proverbs 15:11. The word Abaddon arises in conjunction with Sheol. He is further identified as the devil himself in the 3rd century Acts of Thomas. Now, Abaddon, or Apollon, is the chief of the demons of the 7th hierarchy, the king of the grasshoppers, or the demon of locusts. These demons should emerge, or would emerge, with the sounding of the 5th trumpet in heaven. It describes the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots running to battle. Guys, I'm not trying to say I'm a prophet. I'm not even saying that I was showed a vision. This dream was very vivid. And again, the only way I can describe this is I was instructed in this dream to let everyone know watching this video that this video that God's Healer 7 made yesterday released yesterday on February 24th, 2014 is related to my dream, and that this would be part of what would be going on when this demon and his buddies are released out of the bottomless pit.
The LHC is being fired up and is expected to begin generating particle collisions any day now. Are they going to achieve their goal? If so, it looks to us like they will be fulfilling prophecy on the exact schedule foretold in the Bible, a schedule and outcome they themselves are signaling. CERN recently presented 2 films to celebrate the refiring of the LHC called Symmetry and Symmetry Unraveled. A time code has been embedded in the Symmetry trailer that testifies to the reason for the LHC. There's a ringing sound in a particle beam collision at 1 minute 13 seconds that speaks to me of the 13th day of the 1st month on the Lord's calendar. That's the day when biblical models illustrate the emergence of the Antichrist beast, and that's when the LHC is probably going to begin colliding protons at high energy. In the trailer subsequent to that ringing collision, we see beings that had been trapped in another dimension emerge through a time-space portal. We'll soon see if it's coincidental that their production mirrors the biblical prophecy. It seems very unlikely. I've been blogging about how control over time itself is going to be wielded for a week or so by the ancient dragon, and that's what the trailer seems to demonstrate in the way the entire Passover season is embedded in the time code, with even an accounting of the preparation for Passover that accounts for a preliminary hoax scenario. I'm also going to be comparing the key scene of this trailer to one from another film, The Penitent Man, to demonstrate the match. Just because we're not being told directly what's really going on doesn't mean we're not being told. This is a big deal, because your life will never be the same, the world will never be the same, and what you do about it will matter for a very long time. The sequence of scenes I showed from the trailer presents a looping in time, repeating the opening of the Stargate to illustrate it from various perspectives. The brief segment shown begins with the dance in the magic circle of salt, which is itself a manifestation of theurgy, and what's dramatized is representative of multiplied thousands of ritual sacrifices and evocation rituals over many centuries. Then there's a particle collision with scattered particles as would be recorded in one experiment's sensor array, then circular collision imagery from what looks like another array's perspective, and then we see trapped entities and their emergence as splintering, symmetry achieved, as the underworld has been bridged to this realm. Control over the flow of time-space has been established for a limited season. I'm going to compare a key scene from the Symmetry trailer with one from The Penitent Man now, a movie about time travel that I blogged about at length last year. What you're going to see in this demonstration is how a glass of water is used to illustrate a particle collision. A man bangs with his fist to cause the wave rings to appear. A little later, I'll play it in context, and you'll hear the man tell us that the water represents time, and that the ripples are ripples in time. He's been explaining about how to open a time-space portal for travel through time. Here it is again. His fist pounding represents the percussion of a particle beam collision in CERN's LHC. The Penitent Man doesn't tell us that directly, or that the time machine being discussed is the LHC, but they dance all over it with expressive language of visual symbols and neuro-linguistic programming, the subtle dropping of verbal hints. What CERN is cleverly not telling us in their opera and dance film trailer is what they are dancing all over with occult symbolism and NLP. They're opening the door to let someone in with the breaching of time-space domains. The LHC is a machine that's intended to open a wormhole through time-space so Apollo can emerge, and that's what the Symmetry trailer confirms to us. In familiar occult fashion, it conceals and reveals that it will happen through the pairing of science and magic. CERN is all about facilitating and celebrating the arrival of the Antichrist beast, spare no expense. There's no attempt by CERN to hide the connection between the particle collider and Shiva, the Lord of the Dance. It's a form of the dance of the Nataraja that is performed by the dancers in Symmetry. A large idol of the Lord of the Dance is displayed prominently at the facility. Shiva is the destroyer of worlds. In Revelation 9, the angel with the key to the abyss is Apollyon, the destroyer, Abaddon. The pedestal of the idol at CERN is a lotus, which is understood by illumined occultists to represent the emergence of Horus, who is also known as Apollo or Shiva. The facility is actually located right where Apollo was openly worshipped long ago, in the town of Apolliacum. I already decoded the fundamentals of the Symmetry trailer in this post to the Open Scroll blog titled CERN's Lord of the Dance, so you can reference that for more info, especially about the cosmology of Shiva. The opera and dance production is titled Symmetry, and that involves a matching of the atomic physics with the ritual magic of theurgy. The Symmetry describes the exploitation of physical laws to manipulate the spiritual realm. The Hermetic maxim is an expression of this symmetry. As above, so below. Those who are being inspired by Apollo to bring him forth are synchronizing every kind of work to resonate and harmonize with a focus on the boundary of time-space until the desired result is attained. Symmetry, the bridging of time-space, control over time-space domains. I want to make an observation before playing the clip from The Penitent Man. The CERN LHC facility is literally a temple devoted to the ancient gods, and it's a set for much of the Symmetry film. It's located adjacent to what's claimed to be the #1 most occult city in the world, Geneva, Switzerland. The Penitent Man was filmed adjacent to the number 2 most occult city in the world, which is Vancouver, BC. It was filmed in Seattle, and most of the scenes were shot inside a Masonic facility, the Society of the Illuminated Brotherhood, known for their temples. In this clip from The Penitent Man, you're about to see the context of the cryptic demonstration of a particle beam collision. The younger man is pressing the older man, Mr. Darnell, for technical detail about how he traveled there from the future. You'll hear Mr. Darnell say, "You need a machine to sustain a wormhole, of course." What kind of machine do you suppose they're talking about? Listen closely to their conversation and pay attention to all the props on the set.
But I did it. I actually did it, Doctor. See, viewing was only the beginning. But like a rudimentary computer, it only took time and development before a new model was born. You harness a wormhole, speed up one end and slow down the other end.
Go on.
I can't.
Mr. Darnell, you realize...
Please, I can't. Let's leave it at this.
How does it work? How does it work?
You have to understand, if I answer that question, it could rip a hole through everything as we know it.
But that's why you're here, isn't it? To change the past, so you're gonna have to give me something.
Dr. Pine, I was under the impression it was never a good idea to force a patient to divulge anything they weren't comfortable with.
I can't, I can't keep doing this.
All right. I know this must be frustrating. I can't give you everything. It just wouldn't be safe.
I'm listening.
You say you like science?
I do.
To go back and read the concepts presented by Hawking, Einstein, Lewis, light speed, black holes, wormholes. They were so close. There was just one small piece missing. I'm sure you're aware or somewhat familiar with the concept of wormholes.
Sure, yeah, they're fascinating to wonder about.
If you don't mind, could you tell me what you know?
They're a consequence of Einstein's theory of general relativity. A wormhole, in theory, would act as a shortcut or a passageway through space and time.
The physics are even simpler than your definition. A wormhole creates a tunnel, effectively cutting through two locations in space-time.
Yeah, therefore eliminating the need for three-dimensional travel through space. No more rocket ships. I like Stargate too.
Oh, wow, Stargate. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. Who is that guy in it? He was really good in that old Western.
Kurt Russell?
Kurt Russell, he was good, wasn't he?
Listen, nothing you're telling me is new information, right? The theories about wormholes have existed for a long time, but nobody knows if they actually exist or how to find them.
But I do. They're everywhere. Just a matter of seeing them or harnessing them.
But you haven't explained either. How do you see them? How do you harness them? A machine, some sort of gateway?
Of course you need a machine to sustain a wormhole. But this is where I stop. I have given you the gun. Let me keep the bullets.
Please continue.
I found a way to go back. I was alone, but I found it. My old partner was the only one that knew, but for now, it'll stay that way. The only question is, can the ripples I create be enough to change the future? Or create an alternate one?
Ripples?
Think of the water in that glass as time. Time moves forward constantly, untouched, as still as the water. Go back and try to change something, and it creates a ripple effect. Change has to catch up with time. And everything around it either changes or suffers.
If you've ever been exposed to soap operas, the music in the soundtrack should evoke memories of a long-running show.
Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives.
Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives. That's the kind of subtlety being leveraged by the filmmaker. Darnell, the time traveler and inventor of time travel who destroyed the future, says, think of the water in that glass as time. Time moves forward constantly. Untouched, it's as still as the water. Go back and try to change something, bang, and it creates a ripple effect. Read between the lines. The particle collision pictured creates a ripple effect in time, a time impact event. Who is trying to go back or forward to try to change an outcome? Darnell is. That's why he's there meeting with Dr. Pyatt and speaking so persuasively. Darnell himself is playing the role of the destroyer of worlds, the dancing Lord Shiva. Under the lamp, we see an idol of Shiva doing the cosmic dance of destruction, a miniature of the one featured at the CERN facility. There's a horned mask on the wall that represents the horned god Cernunnos, the god of the abyss, who is continually being invoked in ceremonies where magic circles are cast with salt, just like in the Symmetry film. Yes, Cernunnos, C-E-R-N-U-N-N-O-S. Also, Nodens, Abaddon, Apollyon the Destroyer. It's a clever set. The table lamp paints light on the wall in the shape of an hourglass, hinting of a measure of the sands of time. Under the lamp, you'll find a pitcher of water, a reservoir as drawn from the river of time. Mr. Darnell's pocket watch rests on the coffee table with his time water glass, with the hinged case being a model of folded time-space. The box of tissues on the table is a cube. Think of the cube in the Marvel comic universe, which has to do with a multi-dimensional binding and the control of vast time-space energies. Again, what kind of machine are they talking about in the clip? Did you see the picture on the wall that artfully illustrates the particle collisions? Darnell mentioned small pieces, like subatomic particles. He mentioned a gun and bullets, and the collider fires protons like bullets from a machine gun. Did you notice the picture of the full moon next to the one of the particle collisions? That's a celestial timekeeper, the one that rules the night according to the foundational cosmological text of Genesis chapter 1. It's appointed for signs and for seasons and for days and years, and to give light on the earth, which is a matter of the revelation of supernatural insight and the Hebrew Moedim, the prophetic schedule of holy days. The moon silently affects the tides of the seas on earth in endless cycles. With that influence due to the interaction of gravity relative to mass, and with the water and the sea as a metaphor for time, that's a potent symbol in the context of the particle collider, with its vast array of enormously powerful ring magnets arrayed in a giant ring. Sonic energy is also used to accelerate the particles, so the LHC literally sings as the particles dance. Symmetry's opera and dance. When Darnell bangs the coffee table and we see the imagery of the particle beam collision so clearly illustrated, is there any doubt about what time machine they're talking about? With all the clues, do they really need to say it? Need more evidence? Darnell doesn't actually hit the coffee table with his fist, not directly. He hits a book that sits on the table, which is wrapped around with 2 rubber bands, one red and one green. The red band represents a stream of particles traveling around the LHC, and the green band is the opposing stream. The crossing of the bands represents the crossing of the streams where the collisions occur. He strikes the rubber bands at their crossing. Bang! What's in Darnell's little black book? Notes on particle physics, time-space manipulation, and time travel? Are the bands made of rubber because time is flexible and in flux, able to contract and expand? Is there a red shift of the beams relative to one another, where he's slowing down one and speeding up the other, which Darnell had already claimed was a general principle involved with harnessing a wormhole? There's another aspect of the rubber band bound book that should be mentioned. The two men are actually the same man who traveled back in time on a mission to convince himself not to make the mistake of building the device that would destroy the world in 50 years' time. The rubber bands represent the life of the man, where there are two at once, at the crossing of the future with the past in the present. The black book would represent a kind of journal or book of life. I'm going to replay the key collision segment from the Symmetry promo. Again, pay attention to the time marker. Based upon years of study, we should expect the Antichrist beast to manifest on the 13th day of the first month on the Lord's calendar. By the 21st day of the month, the season of primary impact is expected to end. The control of time is going to be granted to the adversary for a season called megaslipsis in the Greek, Great Tribulation. Things should get real interesting, perhaps a day in advance.